Yeah, which meant billion, you're right, billion, which meant they didn't really understand the finances of the company or the vulnerabilities of it. So we are moving forward with a netting center where your trades will all go in one day, so you'll know who owes what to whom, so there's a clear understanding. We're moving all of these products back on the exchanges so there's more transparency. You know what's happening. And personally, I feel that if a product is so valuable to the country, such as insurance, we can't operate without insurance, such as commercial banking, such as these types of banking services and mortgage banking that are critical to our society, I think they should be separate by themselves. What brought down AIG was not their prime business, which was insurance. It was this risky financial products that was over in London. Yeah. And I, for one, think you should not attach risky financial products or product businesses with core businesses that the country needs. They should be separate in their regulation. That's my belief. And I think that insurance and commercial banking should be regulated, and I think it should be separate. And I think we learned from this. After the Great Depression, they passed a bill in Congress called Glass-Steagall. Yeah. Very famous bill. It was in place for years. We dismantled that bill roughly 10 years ago. We had no problem until Glass-Steagall was dismantled, which allowed all of these financial institutions to merge and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think we should go back to the way it was. We didn't have a problem then. And now the amount of money that taxpayers have poured into bailing out these institutions, it's just absolutely criminal.
So if AIG had stayed an insurance company, right, it's not going into all these credit default swaps and all of that, that a lot of problems would not have occurred. Let me just say that people inside companies sometimes know what's going on and afraid to tell. We have now legislation called the whistleblower, wherein it encourages people, if they know something is going on that's illegal or that's going to hurt, or maybe even in terms of our own security, whatever. The point is that this whistleblower now can give up the information and they're protected. You think they're really going to be protected?
I think they need to be protected and they need to be encouraged, but it also has to be given to someone who does something about it. The SEC hearings with Madoff were amazing. We had whistleblowers come in and showed the documents where they had said that it was a sham business. They were not even trading. And the SEC reviewed them and gave them a bill of health, which made more people invest in Madoff. When you look at this, and I looked at about 5 reports from whistleblowers, it could not have been clear. They say, oh, it was too complicated for the SEC officials to understand. They claimed they weren't trading. How hard is that? An 8th grader could call up the Madoff and say, show me your trading stubs, or go to the exchange and see if they're really trading. So they told about the wrongdoings, but nothing happened with it. So I think we have to look not only at protecting the whistleblower, but when the information is handed in, that it is dealt with in a way that protects our country, protects our consumers, and protects our economy. There were many whistleblowers on Madoff. The SEC just didn't do anything about it. But on AIG and the counterparties, when we finally got that information, I want your listeners to know this, we found out that a lot of the money, billions and billions of dollars, went to foreign banks. I would not call that systemic risk to the United States. Billions went to municipalities. Well, practically every municipality in this country is having problems now. So I think we need to define what is systemic risk, and not everything can be bailed out. We cannot afford it.
Let me ask you this. Right now the government has invested $180 billion, as B as in boy, in AIG. Do you think the government's going to get their money back?
I really don't know. We could have you're the chairman of the committee. You could have a hearing on this.
Oh, yes.
What they are doing now is they're destructuring. They are selling divisions off, and it's no longer going to be too big to fail. They're selling off the products division and making it back to an insurance company again. They had everything. They had a savings and loan bank. They had a leasing business. They even had an airlines. I mean, AIG had so many different businesses, and they're selling them off, and hopefully we can recoup some of that money. but it is a tragedy beyond words. It was a great company at one time. They got involved in a lot of risky products, and it brought down the entire company, and it's cost taxpayers money, and it's tragic.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering if that, with the market being the way it is, in terms of even the ability to sell, as to how much you're really going to get with the market and the economy being the way it is. Of course, I know they have property they're talking about selling. They're talking about selling off a big building in Japan, but I'm not sure how much you get today, for buildings, and, when you have a situation where the economy is just going downward, and will they be able to get the kind of money to be able to pay back this $180 billion? That's what I'm really asking. That's the point I'm making.
I think as chairman of the committee, you could have a hearing on that and review it. I think that's something worth looking at. And right now, we have Mr. Liddy, who is a former insurance executive who's come in to manage AIG. He's being paid $1 a year. So managing AIG is a huge challenge right now. And they're restructuring it, basically. But I believe that having a hearing on it, I believe AIG is a very good test study about what went wrong and what we can do to prevent it in the future. And I congratulate you on the spotlight you put on it in your hearings. In fact, there is a movie out called Washington Casino, and it literally has me in the movie questioning AIG executives on their mismanagement and how they did it. So that's a movie people should see. It's down at it's a documentary that's out now.
I have not seen it, but I want you to know that I will definitely put forth an effort to see it, because I know you probably were raising some serious questions with them, and that they probably were having some difficulty responding to, because I do believe there's something going on here that we are not totally aware of. I think that there's some things that have not come to the forefront that I think that we're going to have to keep probing until we get it. I just think there's something going on more than we actually know, and that's my concern and my view, my feeling. However, when you listen to Mr. Liddy, he seems to have a handle on it to hear what he's saying. But when you talk to people that are in the business, they're saying that's not true. That is not true.
Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's have some more hearings and try to get to the truth.
All right, definitely. I'm for that. Let me ask you this. I know there's a lot of people talking about, I want to switch to some local kind of politics, in which we can't get too deep involved in it, but we can raise some questions about what's going on, in a way. I noticed just recently that Israel has made a decision that he's not going to seek the Senate seat in New York. I spoke to him personally. He said he's not doing it. Have you heard that?
Yes, he said he just did not want to do it. That's his decision.
Right.
He's a great man. I think he would have been a great senator. He's a good friend of mine. I have great respect for his work.
Right.
But that's his decision.
Right. But let me say this, though. People can make a decision, and then later on they can change their mind. I want you to know I did that once. I said I wasn't going to run, and then people came to me, and they said to me, almost like, you have to do this.
Was this for Congress, when you ran for Congress?
No, this is for the Assembly.
When you ran for the Assembly?
New York State Assembly.
And were you a district leader?
I was a district leader at the time.
And they wanted you to run?
They wanted, right,
and you said you didn't want to do it, and they talked you into it?
They talked me into it. And you know what? I lost by 71 votes. If I had made up my mind to do it early on, I think I would have been fine. But I ended up being drafted and not, having the kind of resources that you have, that you need to have, and that as a result, it didn't turn out too well. Let's go back. I want to go back to we're talking about financial, services. When we had a hearing out in the field, the people in government, local governments like state, city, and others, were saying to us that we were asking them to report information, and they said that they thought that the information that we were requesting was something that they should